For more than 150 years, Black communities nationwide have celebrated Juneteenth, a day with deep meaning to American history. Joining us now is Howard University law professor and also the director of the Thurgood Marshall Civil Rights Center, Justin Hansford. Professor Hansford, thank you so much for being here and welcome to Cap Review. So I got to start off by saying congratulations because you're a change maker. You were recently just given an incredibly honorable role to lead the first United Nations Permanent Forum on people of African descent. Now, this is the first time ever the UN has ever had a forum like this that represents not just Black people in the U.S., but Black people in different countries. So tell us more about what inspired the forum and having this forum on the international stage.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. It is certainly an honor to be able to be at the founding of this new mechanism that I believe is going to be a seat at the table for Black people throughout the Black diaspora at the UN for years to come. This is something that has been a dream of many people for decades. And most recently, after the killing of George Floyd, we saw the UN really move to make this dream become a reality. And we have people from many different countries around the world. We have 10 members on this permanent forum. I'm the only member from the United States and Canada, and also continental Europe. So I am going to be particularly interested in issues affecting Black people in those areas. But we have people representing countries as disparate as Kenya, Cameroon, Costa Rica, Colombia, people who represent people of African descent from the entire diaspora are present. And the goal is really to be able to serve as a voice, serve as a platform, and really serve as a helping hand for people who are trying to promote human rights for people of African descent throughout the entire world.
And this is such a big deal. It's a historic moment for Black people all over the world. So what will the UN do, and what will you do to make sure that issues that plague Black communities are not just seen and heard, but what tangible actions and improvements are you hoping to make?
Well, I'll tell you myself, I would like to see reparations for people of African descent, not just for slavery, but for Jim Crow and colonialism and other harms that have taken place throughout the past few centuries. Those are some of the tangible outcomes I would like to see. Not always reparations in the sense of getting money specifically from a government, but also working with universities, working with businesses, working with churches, working with other institutions as well, places where the UN's voice will make a difference. And I expect us to have some tangible results in the near future as we seek to promote reparations.
So I want to talk about that just a little bit, because a lot of people who may be frustrated with the U.S. government, how will being a part of a global organization actually help?
That's been a long-running discussion, right? So think about the civil rights movement or the Black Power movement. All of these movements, even up until the Black Lives Matter movement, have historically asked the United States government to provide some sort of support or relief of this vicious oppression that has been happening in terms of racial injustice. When that answer doesn't come, when those calls for help go unresponded to, you have to stop and think, well, who else is out there? Now, when you look at the global community as an alternative, can we reach out to people in other parts of the world? The answer is yes. You know, there are people around the world who are going to listen. It's complex because there are certainly other interests on the table. When you talk about the United Nations, you're talking about other countries that have their own goals. But there are people in the world who see that the inequality when it comes to police brutality, or inequality in health outcomes, or inequality in terms of economic outcomes, educational outcomes. You see what happened in Buffalo, and you see all the things that are happening, and there are people who are trying to find a way to do what's right and to provide more resources. And we don't have to be limited to American, local, state, and federal government agencies. There are more people out there in the world who want to help, and we're here to help people get in contact with those other options.
So Juneteenth is this Sunday, and it marks 156 years since it was first observed. 156 years. What do you think our black ancestors of 1866 would say about Juneteenth now in 2022?
They'd be happy that this Juneteenth it's only the second time that Juneteenth is being celebrated as a national holiday. I think they'd be happy to see that we are having these conversations, but of course, I'm sure they would note that at the same time that the United States is celebrating Juneteenth, we have a movement in states around the world to ban the ability for students to learn about Juneteenth and Black history in the form of this anti-critical race theory movement. So I think they would note that however encouraging this symbolic holiday is, there are still so many goals for us to accomplish, which include education and also which include reparations for some of the harms that they endured so that this nation could be such a great nation. And those debts have gone unpaid for too long.
Professor Hansford, thank you so much again for being here and for your time, and congratulations again for representing so many African Americans and Black people, not just in the U.S., but around the world at the UN.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back. You're watching Capitol Review.